look tired, sir. Hmm? Yeah, I guess so. His reply was barely audible. The taxi stopped outside of Heaven Publishing. The trip had taken 10 minutes on the dot. Thanks. Minorikawa left a 1,000-yen bill in the seating as they exited the cab. Sir, the driver called after him, and Minorikawa turned back around. Mizuka was leaning out the window to point at him. It isn't called work because it's fun, sir. The day will be over soon enough. Just hang in there a little bit longer. The driver finished with a knowing grin. Minorikawa cracked a ghost of a smile. Maybe his spirits had been lifted just a tiny little bit. Thank you, he replied. You're a true friend of the working man. He waved half-heartedly, then headed into the building. Mr. Mino! Chiaki threw herself at him as soon as he opened the door to the editing office. News of the explosion was playing on the television. Minorikawa marched straight to his desk and opened up his laptop. While it booted up, he tried to get a handle on the current situation. Where are the folks from the loan company, he asked. They're here, Chiaki, I said. I have them waiting downstairs. Do they know Toyama's dead? I'm sorry? I kinda let that slip. What about Hana? I'm not sure. I haven't heard from her since she called earlier. With a tiny sigh, Minorikawa started typing at his laptop. By some miracle, 6 pages of the copy were nearly wrapped up. Still he needed to do whatever it took to see this job through to the end. That would serve as his final tribute to Toyama's memory. He loaded his copy into the DTP software in order to set the layout. By bit, actual magazine articles began to take shape. Then the editing department door swung open. Hey! Snarled the young man who bars in first. He kicked out over a stack of books. How long are you gonna keep us waiting, huh? Honestly, Sagaya, must you be so rowdy? Middle-aged man stepped in alongside him. Are you Mr. Minorikawa then? He added as his eyes fixed on the journalist. He held out his business card. A pleasure to meet you. I'm Asao Osu from Takarada Financing, a black market lending firm that offers loans at an interest rate above what the law allows. Well known for taking whatever steps necessary to collect what that's owed. His business card slogan, got bad credit, but you need a loan? Call anytime. We'll put together a loan that suits your needs. My deepest sympathies about Mr. Toyama. However, I'm afraid that we do need you to give us back the money we loaned. Despite his polite tone, the threat in his voice was plain. Look, next month's issue of 4-Star General Gossip is definitely coming out. Couldn't you please wait for a repayment until we have the funds from those sales, Minorikawa asked. That's exactly what Toyama's plan had been, after all. Well, we certainly aren't monsters. If the magazine is going to be making you money, we wouldn't mind delaying another month. You really mean it? Chiaki chirped. To clarify, that would be the case if Toyama were still alive. At least in the next issue is all well and good, but with Toyama gone, so too is the company. That'll make full repayment of what we're owed impossible, I expect. What do you want us to do? Minorikawa asked coldly. How about we just cut to the chase, growled the younger man, Sagawa. Dig out your ears and listen up, Chiaki recalled in a panic, and Minorikawa held up an interposing hand. Knock it off, he said. You're scaring the young lady. A thin smile came to his face. All we want to know is where Mr. Toyama's daughter is. Yeah, that's right, Sagai said. Tell us where the girl is. No way, Chiaki squeaked in protest. Hana's just a little kid. She doesn't have any responsibility to pay back the... What was it didn't let her finish? We're aware of that. Nevertheless, we'd still like to know where she is. The law didn't matter right now. Guys like this had all sorts of ways of wringing money out of people. It was clear from the looks on their faces that Ozu and Sagawa had some wicked scheme up their sleeves. Unless, of course, you would prefer to take on Toyama's debts, Mr. Minorikawa. You're quite the accomplished reporter, after all. Take on his debts, huh? Minorikawa didn't know how much Toyama had borrowed, but it only took one look at these guys to tell him it was no small sum. How about it? Ozu asked. The way you land scoop after scoop, I'm sure you'll be able to repay it us in full before you die. Minorikawa fiercely returned to stare. Can we just call it even? Either consider it or take it. I think I'd rather consider it. Consider it. Could you give me some time? Chiaki went pale at Minorikawa's response. No! How could you even think about taking their offer? She cried. Sagawa stepped in, drowning her out. No way! We've waited long enough! Give us your answer now! Yes or no? What's it gonna be? Now, let's just calm down, Ozu chided. You said that you consider it. That's a step in the right direction, wouldn't you agree, Mr. Minorikawa? Yeah, sure. And I suppose we can wait at least a little while longer. Minorikawa had hoped to put them off for several days at least, but it didn't look like that was going to happen. Great. Two men from Takarada Financing plunked themselves down on the heading department sofa. Mr. Mino, you're not actually going to take on that debt, are you? Chagi asked quietly. Minorikawa sat at his desk looking over the copy he'd written. That's none of your concern, he said. What I need to know is how's your piece on those street interviews coming? But I mean, those guys, they said it doesn't matter if the issue comes out or not. Don't be ridiculous. When a professional agrees to take on a job, they see it through to the end. Shaki took his point and scampered to grab the printout of her copy. Minorikawa gave it a quick once-over. He saw immediately that the piece was lacking in structure. He then read the article a second time, checking the finer details. Several off-theme sentences jumped out at him. This is no good, rewrite it. He thrust the printout back at Chiaki. Yes, sir. She bowed her head and retreated to another desk. The TV was stalled and a news broadcaster's voice suddenly broke through the silence as well as Minorikawa's concentration. We're live on the scene now, where an explosion Shibuya has. Minorikawa gazed blankly at the screen. He found his mind drifting to a particular memory of Toyama. The door looked like it might fall apart at any moment, but Minorikawa didn't care. He pounded on it as hard as he could. The Toyama nameplate popped off and fell to the floor. It was hard to believe that this dilapidated apartment was the home of a newspaper editor who had worked his way up from reporter. Hey, Toyama, get your ass out here! At the sound of Minorikawa's angry shouting, other tenants on the floor poked their heads out of their rooms to stare. He paid them no heed, continuing to call out. Eventually, Toyama opens the door, dressed in his sweats and undershirt. Quiet down, you moron, he snapped. Come on in. I hear you tendered your letter of resignation to the paper? Minorikawa sat cross-legged at the tatami-covered floor. Tell me why. Then Toyama quirked a lopsided grin. You want to know why I quit, huh? All right, lean in close. Minorikawa peered at him dubiously. Huh? Why? I don't want anyone overhearing this. Resigned, Minorikawa leaned forward and turned his right ear toward Toyama. The man's warm breath against his cheek was pretty unsettling. At first, he had trouble concentrating on Toyama's story. When the older man got to the crux of the matter, he found himself listening with rapt attention. By the time Toyama finished, Minorikawa was unable to suppress his shock. You're starting your own publishing company? Not so loud, damn it! Toyama shushed him with a finger in his lips. He looked around warily as if there might be spies in his own apartment. Right, but a publishing company? Minorikawa said again, more quietly this time. What are you doing for your distributor account? All booksellers are required to use a wholesale distributor to circulate their publications. To do business with such a distributor, a publisher needed a specialized distributor account. You're not going to let a company with no track record open a new account with a distributor. I'm sure you must realize that. Toyama grinned, a proud gleam in his eyes. I know, that's why I bought one. You bought one? Ghost account belonging to a publisher that went bankrupt. Distributor accounts could go for tens of millions of yen. There's no way Toyama could afford that on a severance pay alone. He must have taken out a loan in order to make the purchase. But the publishing industry was in a slump nowadays. People just weren't buying books much anymore. Starting up a new publishing company was a beyond risky endeavor. Now, I've already decided on a name for my company, Minorikawa. Toyama's face was positively beaming. Get this, Heaven Publishing. Heaven? That sounds fatalistic. The idea is that the people who work for me will feel like they're in paradise. Or less Kavechi? I don't know how to spell that. Kavechi. About keeping quiet. Toyama was now exclaiming pretty loudly himself. I mean, I can appreciate your willingness to take the risk, but surely your wife must have had objections, Minorikawa said. Toyama fell silent. He went and opened up the refrigerator. Minorikawa took a peek inside. Its shelves are mournfully spare, holding little besides beer cans and drinking snacks. The missus left me, took our daughter with her. Those scant few words painted the picture clearly enough. Toyama grabbed a can of beer and tossed it to his guest. But no more sob stories, he went on. First he cracked open his own can of beer. Leak foam bubbled from the top. Cheers, Minorikawa. To Heaven Publishing's big debut. He cast everything aside and was striving for a new beginning. The man had braced himself for the challenge. It wasn't Minorikawa's place to tell him he was making a mistake. Even if it was an uphill battle, he had little chance of winning. Congrats, Mr. Toyama. Minorikawa pulled the tab on his beer can. Cheers! Two of them clacked their cans together. One year had passed since Toyama founded Heaven Publishing. Minorikawa poked his head into the editing office and back from the convenience store in hand. Hey boss, how's business? What does it look like it's doing? Toyama sat amidst a veritable mountain of returned stock, his expression bleak. Bookstores do not purchase the books they sell, but rather take them on consignment. This allows them to return the publisher any books that do not sell. The books were all bulky non-fiction tomes, not exactly the sort to fly off the shelves. The man couldn't even muster a smile for the reunion. It's been like this for every non-fiction book we've put out. Wow, starting right off with the bleak state stuff, huh? Because the things are bleak. The only thing that's selling is this gossip rack of ours. Minorikawa pulled some beer cans from his bag, handing one to Toyama. Toyama looked at an issue of 4-star general gossip from atop his desk. It was Heaven Publishing's one breadwinner, the only thing keeping the company afloat. But the gossip now seemed like it was buried in the red of the publisher's non-fiction releases. I really did have higher aspirations than this, Toyama sighed, gazing in disappointment at the piles of unsold books. But here we are. I think it's supposed to say here we are, with our gossip magazine as our only viable publication. The beleaguered bookseller chugged his beer. Daddy, I'm hungry. Minorikawa was startled to hear a young child's voice. He turned around to see a little girl nestled between the stacks of returned stock. That's my daughter Hana, Toyama said. It's complicated, but she's living with me now. I see. Minorikawa could impress for more details with Hana right now. His ex-wife hadn't been going well. Go on, introduce yourself, Toyama said. It's one of Daddy's work friends. Hana turned to Minorikawa with a bright little grin. Hello, my name's Hana. I'm 6. You want some of this? Minorikawa held out a packet of dried squid he bought to go with the beers. Sure. Hana greedily stuffed her cheeks with the squid. Toyama flashed a sheepish grin. Do you like living with your daddy, Hana? Minorikawa asked, giving the girl's hair a gentle ruffle. Uh-huh, I do. My daddy's amazing. He runs a company. Toyama let out a tiny voluntary sob at his daughter's ready praise. I'll keep at it, Toyama said, looking into his daughter's smiling face. Hana's more important to me than any high aspirations might have had. I'll keep shoveling out copies of the gossip, and at least make sure she's always got something good to eat. Daddy, this is really tasty. Hana held out the pouch of dried squid. Tears welled up into Toyama's eyes. Next time I'll make sure she has some sashimi instead of something like this. Hey, what do you mean something like this? Minorikawa grumbled. I'm the one who bought it. Toyama and his daughter laughed together. It was a heartwarming sight. Minorikawa thought a father and his daughter and his girl getting along so well. Toyama might have been a hard-hitting journalist, but when he came home at the end of the day, he was just daddy. It was only natural for the man as a father to put his child above anything else. After gorging herself on snacks, Hana fell asleep on the sofa, looking well and truly satisfied. You know, Minorikawa, Hana's happiness means more to me than my lofty artistic ideals ever could. Toyama kept his voice low as he regarded his daughter's sleeping face. And from that day forward, Heaven Publishing had shifted its focus to scandal rags with 4-star general gossip as its pillar. Had that been for good or for ill, whatever the case, Toyama had abandoned his pride. Minorikawa had watched him become more and more of a miserable wretch. Minorikawa snapped back into the present as a sheaf of pages appeared in front of his face. Here you go, Chiaki said, radiating anxiety. Right. Minorikawa gave her copy a close read over and then thrust it back out to her. What did you even fix? He asked. Could you please tell me which parts are wrong? She mumbled, hanging her head. What are you talking about? It's just, well, we don't have a lot of time here, so I figured if I just fix the parts that need fixing. Chiaki trailed off into an indistinct mutter. Is that always how you go about fixing your copy? Yes. Then you're never going to get any better. If someone tells you it's no good, you write the whole thing from scratch. Just making fiddly tweaks here and there is what an amateur does. Jackie dipped her head even deeper, cringing at the reprimand. Minorikawa let out a tiny sigh. Look, what I just told you, that's what Toyama told me when I was first starting out. There were times he'd have me do dozens of rewrites. At first, I thought he was just pushing me around. But through rewriting things over and over, I realized something. There are a whole lot of ways you can write about the same thing. And that's what helped me hone my skills as a writer. Jackie raised her head back up. Oh wow, really? If you can get that, then stick with it. Write your submission deadline as close as you have to in order to write the best piece you can. Okay, I can do it. I will do it. Finally, Jackie's face brightened with a smile. That's the spirit. The one might have talent, but she hadn't realized it yet. She needed to be able to stick to an assignment even when things got tough. If she didn't have that kind of resolve, she'd never make it as a freelancer. I hate these guys. Oh, how touching, Ozu chimed in, applauding. I'm almost moved to tears. They'll make a movie of this for sure. See, had only been acquainted with that sad sap Toyama, we never knew there was such an upstanding fellow here who was so good at tough love. Minorikawa shot to his feet and pounded his fist on the desk. That's about enough from you, the peanut gallery. Hold your tongue, Sagawa snarled, his eyes shone with a vicious gleam. We're getting sick of waiting here. Sagawa, you really are a short-tempered guy, aren't you? Ozu clucked disapprovingly at his underling, then slid a sheet of paper onto Minorikawa's desk. Nevertheless, I'm afraid we do require a decision now. If you just stamp here, we'll be on our way. Shaki stared down at the document. Is this a bond of reconnaissance? Yeah, that's right. That's what you write when transferring a debt. Sagawa puffed himself up proudly. Minorikawa suddenly looked over the contract. If you don't have a stamp, we're glad to accept the signature as well, Ozu pointed out. Face it, pal, Sagawa added. If you don't hurry up and sign, you're never going to stop going after Toyama's daughter. Minorikawa snatched up a pen. Mr. Mino, you can't do this! Think about what you're doing, Shaki shouted. If you go through it with this, you just wind up like Mr. Toyama. I won't. Yes, you will! Just who the hell do you think I am? I'm Minoru Minorikawa, damn it. I'm going to land so many scoops that will make your head spin. And I'm going to pay back this debt and rebuild Heaven Publishing. But, why would you take such a risk? Chiaki sobbed. Minorikawa lowered his voice. Because I owe him so much. I can't stand by and let these scumbags kill his daughter. Minorikawa readied his pen and signed the document. Alright, Sagawa cheered. Now we're talking. A satisfied grin came to Ozu's face as he reached for the contract. But before he could pick it up, Shaggy snatched it from his desk. I'm not letting you do this! Crumpling the paper, she stuffed it right into her mouth. Hey, Sagawa snapped. What the hell are you doing? He tried to force Jackie's mouth open. Don't you dare, you bitch! But despite his frantic efforts, Jackie managed to gulp the white paper down. Damn! Sagawa blinked a few times. Oh, you did not just do that! Ozu looked on dumbstruck. Guess we gotta get a new contract from the office, boss. Make as many as you want, Jackie declared. I'll just keep eating them. Girl, are you some kind of damn goat or something? The mental image of a goat eating paper is a common one. Dating back to long ago, when paper was made solely out of plant material, if a goat were to eat modern paper, the vat of chemically created pulp would go undigested, but obviously cause an intestinal blockage, so please do not feed paper to goats. Sagawa shoved Chucky up against the desk. Ow, cut it out! That hurts! As she struggled to resist, Chucky lurched toward the desk, planting one of her hands atop the TV remote control. One of her fingers happened to land on the volume up button. The sound from the television set soon hit max volume. We have just learned the explosion earlier claimed the life of one man. While police have stated that there is a likelihood of foul play at work, they are also pursuing leads that this was a potential suicide. They hadn't released a name, but they must have been talking about Toyama. Feeling the impact of his mentor's death all over again, Minorikawa slumped back in his chair, his body languid and lifeless. Still, there was one thing you could do for the friend he'd lost. Draw up a new contract. I'll sign it. Mr. Mino? Don't argue with me. I've made up my mind. Shaggy fell silent. No renegation on our deal now. Ozu said with a nasty sneer. I do hope you don't get any funny ideas that we're running out on us. Minorikawa didn't need the warning. He had no such plans. Sagawa slapped the new contract onto the desk. Here, sign it. Minorikawa signed for a second time. Sagawa stepped in to make doubly certain that Chikiaki couldn't eat it. I do hope you're able to earn enough to pay us back in short order, Mr. Minorikawa. A satisfied grin Ozu smacked him on the shoulder. Minorikawa stood on deck as his ship set out across the rolling waves. In order to pay back the loan as soon as he could, he'd had to quit his financially unreliable career as a freelancer. For over a year now, he'd been sailing the seas, tossed by wind and waves as he went out in pursuit of his new goal. But as Minorikawa gazed out over the vast wild ocean, his eyes shone with the self-same gleam that had lit them in his days as a reporter chasing after the truth. With pen exchanged for fishing rod, he sought a brand new destiny. Forge onward, Minorikawa, for the diamonds of the sea. The rare bluefin tuna. That end. Number 61, A Man of the Sea. When Minorikawa took on Toyama's old debt and was forced to set out for a new life at sea. Was that really Toyama who was killed in an explosion? Minorikawa's future might turn out differently if he hears who actually was inside that minivan. Are you serious? I actually have to. Okay.